I don't think Russell Wilson is a Hall of Famer. Did I think that at one point where he was very close to being a Hall of Famer? Absolutely. But the past few years is like, well, hold up. He was great. He was very good. At least that's what it appeared to be. And nowadays it's like, maybe we need to reevaluate where Russell Wilson is at in his career. So what I find interesting is that the Athletic's Dan Duggan comes out and says, well, maybe Russell Wilson is on a short leash because, as he wrote, quote, Giants brass has told everyone who will listen since the draft that Russell Wilson is the unquestioned starting quarterback, and the plan is for first-round pick Jaxson Dart to develop behind the scenes. It sounds awfully familiar to 2019 when the plan was for Eli to be the starter, and then Daniel Jones on the bench developing him. Well, then 4 games in, when I believe, what's it called? Eli Manning went, I think, 0-4 or 1-3, all of a sudden, then we saw Daniel Jones, and that was the story. Eli Manning retired after that point. It's a very similar situation because if we take a look at the Giants' schedule, it is brutal. Commanders, Cowboys, Chiefs, and Chargers. All right there. This is an 0-4 start if I've ever seen it. The first opportunity you have at a win is Week 5 against the Saints. That's the only shot I have. Honestly, in the first 12, 13 weeks, I mean, this schedule is brutal. There is a very high likelihood that if we just go based on what we believe, just off the cuff, just thinking about it, I could genuinely see a maximum of 3 wins for the New York Giants this season. The Saints, maybe the Vikings, and the Raiders. I can't see them beating anybody else. Truly. Now, can there be some upsets? Absolutely. But I think that if you just take a look at the team and how we feel about it, and yes, they had a lot of great players, but they had a tremendous amount of talent defensively last year, and they didn't exactly perform up to the top-tier talent that we expected them, or at least we hope to see glimpses of. Now, their pass rush wasn't too bad. Their pass defense wasn't great. Their run defense wasn't tremendous. And the offense was abysmal. Now, what I find interesting is let's take a look at Russell Wilson, because this is my big thing, right? Russell Wilson's not a Hall of Famer. And the reason why I believe that is because the past few years, there has been one quarterback that has led the league in check down percentage every single one of those last 3 years, and it's Russell Wilson. In fact, he had the lowest positive play performance last season at 19.6%. Out of the 32 projected starters, Russell Wilson was dead last. Oh, but the deep ball. True, he has a tremendous deep ball. He always has. In fact, it was tied in big-time throw percentage. PFF has a big-time throw percentage of 6.1%, which was tied for 5th in the NFL, along with Lamar Jackson. However, Lamar Jackson's positive play grade was nearly 12% higher than Russell Wilson's. So, and by the way, those last 5-6 games of the season for Pittsburgh, the offense, led by Russell Wilson, averaged 14 points. Were there any cataclysmic injuries for the offense and the weapons? No. Or did the defense hit a wall because that's what Mike Tomlin relies on, and then all of a sudden the offense couldn't keep up? Well, that's what it seemed to be, because their defense averaged 30 points allowed over those last 5-6 games, and Russell Wilson's led offense averaged 14. So I decided to take a look at Russell Wilson and the team passing attempts, passing yards, along with help via running the football and rushing attempts. And I don't think I've ever seen a quarterback have as much help and has been asked to do maybe less. Now, efficiency-wise, you could argue he's been tremendous, but just based on how much weight he's needed to sort of pull behind him, this is Russell Wilson and the team pass attempts, passing yards rank, along with their rushing attempts and rushing yards rank. Do you notice a pattern here? I mean, dead last, 31st, 32nd, 28th, 18th, 16th, 32nd, 23rd, 17th, 31st, 13th, 19th, 14th in pass attempts rank. What about passing yards? We have 6 of them who are in the bottom 10. What about rushing yards? We have 6 that are in the top 3. What about rushing yards rank? We have 6 in the top 5. So Russell Wilson has had a lot of help throughout his career, and it only gets worse because the whole let Russ cook era of, I believe, 2020 and on, he's burnt down the kitchen every single time. He's been on the Seahawks, the Broncos, the Steelers, and now the Giants since 2020. So what are we doing here? We could say that Russ is a good enough quarterback. Is he an upgrade over Daniel Jones and that whole mess of Drew Lock and Tommy Cutlets and all that? Sure, absolutely. But I'm going to stay on this hill. I'm going to die on this hill that Russell Wilson, as soon as it was the let Russ cook era, and it was let's put all the weight on him. Let's have him be the one executing the passing plays and all of that. I think that's sort of where we saw the discrepancies in Russell Wilson's game, because that's when the Seahawks didn't look like really themselves. The rushing game wasn't the same. The offensive line was honestly about the same throughout his career. The offensive line really didn't change over the course of his career. So we could praise him about how well he did in, the top 10 year, where in 2016, his offensive line was ranked 29th. So we could talk about the offensive lines of the let Russ cook era. It's been the same throughout his career. In fact, when he was with the Broncos, remember those 2 horrific years where it didn't seem like the offense was really doing anything besides Russell Wilson's numbers looking pretty good? Those were actually the 2 best years offensive line-wise that Russ has ever had. And last year we could praise him for moments here with Pittsburgh, but the offensive line during his tenure as starting quarterback was ranked 24th. So we can't really blame the offensive line because it's been the same. In the very highs and in the very lows, there hasn't been much change there. And by the way, what about the defense? Let's take a look at the defense, because that's another part of Russ had so much help argument that I have. Over the course of his entire career, and if we really want, I have the numbers here for each individual year. Points allowed, his defenses have averaged the 9th best average in points allowed. 9th best, top 10. What about total defense? The yards given up. That's what total defense is calculated by. They're 12th. So he's had a top 10 defense in points allowed and a top third of the league in total offense allowed, or total defense rather. So Russ has had help every which way you go. And the past 4 or 5 years, honestly, since the let Russ cook era, so about the past 6 years, we've seen a different Russell Wilson than we saw the first 5 when he was winning 10, 12 games, making it to Super Bowls, winning Super Bowls. Well, now we can reflect on that and say, well, it was the Legion of Boom and Marshawn Lynch, and then Russ was just there to facilitate the in-between plays there. Because efficiency-wise, you take a look at the numbers, you're like, not bad. He was pretty good. But compared to the rest of the NFL, it was about middle of the pack. And in most cases, especially early on in his career, when he was making those Super Bowls. In 2013, when he won, the Seahawks allowed him to pass the 31st most times, and he had the 26th most passing yards. The running game was 2nd and 4th. Meanwhile, in 2014, when they went up against the Patriots, they had the number 1 total defense, by the way, 2013 and 2014. They ran it the 2nd most times and had number 1 in rushing yards, and they asked Russ to throw it the least and had the 27th most passing yards. So I really don't think, and we could go throughout, history of the NFL and look at who has had the most help. In my opinion, I don't think there has been many quarterbacks that have needed a top 10 defense, top 3 running game, and then has been relied on the least in the NFL. And we said, Hall of Famer. Because as soon as, like I said, as soon as all the weight was on him, the let Russ cook era and the Mr. Unlimited era, this has been some of the worst years of Russell Wilson's career. So yes, can he throw a deep ball? Sure. So can 47-year-old Tom Brady. We've seen it in YouTube videos. We've seen he still has the accuracy. He still has a lot of the arm strength and a lot of the arm speed. That will really never, leave him. It's about pushing the ball downfield, making those plays when they matter. I don't think Russ has much of it left. Will we see a LeBron-esque factor where he could do it in a game or 2 or 3? Sure. But over the course of the season, I do not think Russell Wilson will be as effective as people are thinking. Is he an upgrade? Sure. But it comes at a time when the Giants are facing arguably their most difficult schedule in a number of years. Add on top of the fact how, since 2017, they've started 0-2 6 times. I think that will repeat itself once again this year, because if we take a look at their schedule again, they go up against the Commanders and the Cowboys. We'll see what the Cowboys look like, but then it's the Chiefs, then the Chargers, and then we may have to see Jaxson Dart, because this very well could be an 0-4 schedule. We may see Jaxson dart against the Saints, and then it goes Eagles, Broncos, Eagles, by the way, the top 2 defenses last year. The 49ers, who should be improved, they're healthier. The Bears, who look very much improved. They play the Packers with the newly acquired Micah Parsons. That'll be interesting. The Detroit Lions, who should be good. The New England Patriots, who are very much improved on both sides of the ball. They have a bye week, and then it's Commanders, Vikings, Raiders, and then Cowboys. I see a maximum, if we want to say they get lucky, 4 wins. I think the more realistic number is they go 3-14, and Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen will be fired before that even happens. Hi, everybody. Thank you for watching this clip of the Harvey Hour. If you want to watch the full show, you can by clicking the I in the top right-hand corner right now. If you want to take the show with you on the go, it is available wherever you get your podcast. We go live here on YouTube every single Tuesday and Friday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. So make sure you hit that like button, that subscribe button, and the notification bell to get notified whenever we upload a video and whenever we go live.